Hello everyone, in today's project we're going to be building this website using Context API. We're going to be able to switch between themes. For example, when I click the salmon theme, is going to change, and then when I click the dark one, it's going to change to the dark one. Everything is going to change accordingly. Okay, so mainly we're going to be using Context API. Okay, yeah, so this is the main functionality of the website, switching between themes. Okay, so yeah, let's jump into the video. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. Or if you're new, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Okay, yeah, I'll see you in the video. Okay, so I've just done a quick design in Figma. So this is the design that we're going to be working with to show you how we can do Context API, changing the themes of the website. So mainly we're going to be changing the colors, okay, especially this shape here. We're going to be changing the colors when we click one of these buttons here. Okay, so this was just a quick design to show you how we can do this. Now let's go to VS Code. So in here I have an images folder. It only has one image, and then I have a components folder. There's a header component, it's empty. Okay, I didn't want to waste your time to create these on camera. It wastes a lot of time to do that. So in the app.js, it's also empty, so there's nothing here. Okay, so we just need to run our project. Okay, so for the styling, mainly I'm going to be using style components. You can use normal CSS or Sass if you want. It's up to you what you decide to style with. Okay, so I'm going to be installing style components for styling. So run npm install style components. Okay, after that, let's run the project. So npm start. Okay, so yeah, the project should be empty. As you can see, it's empty. We have nothing in the project. Okay, so let's start with the header. Okay, so mainly for our project, when I go to the design, it's only going to be the header section. We're not going to be doing anything else, so it's mainly this header section here. You can create multiple components for this header section. You can make this area here as a component, this navigation is a separate component, but I'm not going to be doing that too. I don't want to waste your time. I'm just going to create one component, which is the header, that is going to be responsible for everything. So I'm going to say const header. It's going to be header styled, because I'm going to be using style components for styling. I'm going to say styled to header. We're going to create a header. So to use style components, we also need to import it. So import styled from style components, like this. Import style from style components. Okay, so now we just need to take this header styled and then put it here and replace everything like this. Okay, so now we have the header styled, which is this header here. We're just surrounding with the header styled for style components. Okay, so if we go to the header, now we'll be able to do the basic styling. So initially I want to height to be 100%, width I want it to be 100% also. Okay, but before we can do that, we need to do basic page resetting. You might remember removing the padding and the margin. Okay, so let's create a global style. In here we're going to say new file. It's going to be global style.js. So make sure it's style.js. And then to create a global style, we're using style components. We need to import something called create global from style components, like this. And then in here we're going to say const global style. We're going to say create global style. So in here we're going to create a global style. I'm going to export. I'm going to say default global style. We're going to export this. So in here we can do our basic page resetting. So in here, this is the standard. I'm pretty sure you know this already. I'm going to remove the margin, the padding, and set the border sizing. I mean box sizing to border box, like so. Okay, so let's check to see if this is working. For the body, I'm just going to give it a background color. Let's say, shall we say red? This is temporary, just to check if it's working. As you can see, it's not working because we're not using this global style. To use this global style, we need to go into the index.js above the app, and then we just say global style, like this. That's how we can use the global style. So the body should change to red. So that means our Style Components is working. So now we can go ahead and remove this body. So in the body, I'm going to set the height to 100 VH. Okay, I don't want to scroll past this height, which is the whole 100% viewport height. So you can set this to minimum height. Only for this project, that's why I'm doing this. I just want everything to be within this 100 VH just to demonstrate our context API to do the themes. You can set minimum height, which is going to be the minimum height is going to be 100 VH, the minimum for the minimum. You can go past this height, but in this case, I don't want to go past this one. So you can experiment with the values, it's up to you. I'm also going to set the font size and the font family. So to get the font family Poppins, you need to go to Google Fonts, and then you just need to look for Poppins, and then here you can just say Poppins, and then you can, get the font and then put it into your project. I'm not going to show you how to do that. I'm pretty sure you know how to do that already. Okay, so you do Poppins. So now we have the font. I'm going to target the anchor tag. Every anchor tag that I want to do, I'm going to say font family. I'm going to set that to inherit the whatever we set into the body, and then I'm going to set the font weight to be 600 to make it slightly thicker. Okay, so now we should be set with everything that we need. So now we can go back to the header. So if I go back to the design, you can see here we have the navigation. Okay, and then we have the header content. Okay, so here we're going to start with the navigation. Okay, and then we're going to move on to header content. Okay, so here I'm going to say nav.navigation. So in here we're going to say ul.nav items, and then in here we're going to have a, and then it's going to go to nowhere, and then we're going to do about, and then we need to duplicate this 3 more times, and then we just need to change the values from about to a different value. And then in this case I'm going to do blogs, gallery, and join. Okay, or you can say whatever text you want to put here. So in this case here I'm going to disable this warning. I'm going to comment like this, and then I'm going to say ESLint, if I remember correctly, disable. Okay, so now the comments are gone. We don't get those warning comments. Okay, so now with the navigation, let's see if we have the navigation. It doesn't show because we're not rendering the header inside our app. In here we're going to say header. We need to render the header. Make sure you import the header. Import header from components header. Okay, so we should be having our navigation. There it is. So in here, after that, after the navigation, you actually need a logo in the navigation. I'm going to say logo. I'm going to say h1, and then I'm just going to say slime tech like this. And then after that, after navigation, I'm going to say header content. So header content is actually a class dot header content class, and then we're going to have left content. We're going to have left and right content. Okay, so the left content is for the text, the right content is for the image. So in here I'm going to have a laptop image. I'm just going to say laptop. This laptop is coming from the images folder. We're going to import that. I'm going to say import laptop. I'm going to import laptop from .img, and then it's going to be laptop.png. So that's the image. So we have the laptop. So now let's focus on the left content. So for the left content, we're mainly going to have an h1, which is the description for the laptop, and then I'm just going to paste in some text, and then we're going to have a paragraph. You can do lorem 10 to generate some random lorem text. Okay, or you can find on the internet whatever text you want to use. Okay, so I'm just going to use some random lorem text, and then here I'm just going to say .cta btns cta buttons. So we're going to have 2 buttons. Okay, so the first one is going to be join now, Okay, and then it's going to have a class of btn, class name btn. Okay, I'm going to duplicate this. I'm just going to say messages, okay, us, and then we're going to do btn, and then we're going to do cta, another class of cta. Okay, so that's it for the header content. That's basically it. We are also going to add some dots. As you can see, there's some dots here. We're going to add those dots. Okay, so to do the dots, we're going to do the dots down here, I guess, because we're going to position absolute the dots. Okay, so we're going to say dots. We're going to have 3 dots. I'm going to say dot, another each dot is going to have a class of dot, and then I'm going to, each dot is going to have a different class name, dot, incrementing by number. I'm going to multiply this by 3, so dot 1 up to 3. Okay, we're also going to have that shape behind our content, which is going to change the color. So I'm going to say bg, actually dot bg overlay, like that. Okay, so now let's save. Let's see what we have. So now there is everything. Now it's only a matter of styling. We've done every HTML, that every markup that we need to do. So now it's only a matter of styling this header. Okay, so now let's go back. So now we have the height 100%. So let's start by padding to rem top and bottom, 140 pixels left and right. So you can mess around with these values to kind of, you know, visualize what values you're going after. And then we're going to do a transition. I'm going to do 0.3 seconds. 0.3 seconds, ease in and ease out. Okay, so there's the transition. I'm going to target the logo with the H1. So I'm just going to change the font weight and the font size. Okay, I'm going to set that to 800, and then I'm going to target the navigation itself. So for the navigation, we're just going to do regular display flex, justify content, space between. Okay, justify content, we're going to do space between, and then we're going to align items. Something is going on with my auto completion. We're going to align items. We're going to align to center. Okay, so this should be flex. My auto completion is kind of messed up. I don't know why. Okay, so flex, and then we're going to target the nav items. We're going to do the same thing. Display flex. We're going to align items to center, and then we're going to target the li, which is the list tag. We're going to give it a margin, top and bottom. We're going to set that to 0, to rem left and right. Okay, in there we're going to target an anchor tag. Okay, so for the anchor tag, we're just going to give it a color. Okay, I'm just going to paste in the color. So this color 718096, and then we're going to target a button, which we haven't done yet. I'm just going to leave this blank. We're going to do this button later. Okay, so this button is going to be the color buttons, which we're going to be clicking to change the colors. Okay, so for now, I'm going to collapse this navigation. Okay, collapse. Let's see what we have. So there's our navigation. Everything looks good. I like it. Okay, so now that's it for the navigation. So now we need to do that background shape that you see from the design. So to do that, I'm going to show you something called this. Go to this website here. It's Bennett Feely, something like that. So you can just say clip path generator, like this. Clip, make sure it's clip path generator. So the first website you see this Bennett. Go to generate the shape that we're looking for. Okay, so we're going to set a trapezoid, and then we're going to put this all the way to 0, and then just move around the shape to kind of visualize what kind of shape you want. You can do this manually with code, but it takes a lot of time to kind of figure out what kind of shape you're looking for. So yeah, and then you can kind of, you know, get the value that you're looking for. Let's say 85%. Okay, and then yeah, now we have the value. You just copy this value, go back, and then target bg overlay. So in the bg overlay, what we're going to do, we're going to set the position to absolute left. We're going to set that to 0, and then we're going to set top, we're going to set that to 0, and then we're going to do a height. We're going to set that to 100% height, and then width, we're going to set the width to 100% as well. So now let's keep this a temporary background just to see where we are at. So now red, so now we should see a red background color. So that's the overlay. It's on top of our content. We want it to be behind our content. So to do that, we're just gonna say z index. Yeah, we're gonna set the z index to -1. So we want it to be behind the content. As you can see now, it's behind our content. Now we just need to paste in that shape that we created, the clip path. Okay, so the polygon, so as you can see now, it's like this, the polygon that we created. Okay, so now, yeah, we have everything that we need. So we just need to style the content, the header content. So it's only a matter of selecting the class header content. Okay, so header content, we're going to say dot header content, we're going to display grid, or you can do display flex, it's up to you. I prefer grid, so it's all about your preference. Grid template columns, and then we're going to do 1FR. We're going to have 2 columns that are all going to be equal, 1FR, and then we're going to do margin top. So for the margin top, I'm going to set that to 150 pixels. You can kind of mess around with these values to get, you know, whatever values you're looking for. And then we're going to do left content. So for the left content, I'm just going to do display flex and set the width to 100%. Okay, and then I'm going to say flex direction. I'm going to set that to column. Okay, so column, and then just file content, and then I'm going to set that to center. Okay, so now with the left content, we're going to target the H1. I'm just going to change the font size and the font weight for now. Okay, like so. And then I'm going to target the paragraph. I'm just going to set the margin, top and bottom. I'm going to set that to 2 rem, and then 0 for left and right. Okay, so now let's see what we have. So everything looks good. It's coming up nice. Now let's target the .cta btns. So that's the buttons. Okay, so now we just need to set the color and the font size. Okay, so now we have the padding, top and bottom 0.7 rem, left and right 2 rem. Font weight initial, we're bringing it back to normal initial, because by default it's set to 600, like this. We're bringing it back to initial, which is going to be normal. Okay, it's actually, we need to set this on the anchor tag, and then here we need to display flex this as well. Display flex, like so. Okay, so now it's back to normal. It's side by side display flex. So just enjoy now. Okay, so now with the buttons, we haven't set the background colors yet. We're going to do that with our context. Okay, so we also need to set the border radius to make it rounded. Border radius, we're going to say 35 pixels. Okay, so it's going to be rounded because we don't have a background color yet. You don't see that. So now I think that's pretty much about it for the left content. Now let's do the right content. Left content dot right content, which is the image, by the way, position relative, and then I'm going to say width. I'm going to set that to 100%, and then I'm going to target the image. I'm going to say width. I'm going to set that to 100% also. Okay, so now there is everything. Now we just need to do the dots. Okay, so the dots are going to be position of absolute, and then we're going to center them on the x-axis. Okay, so we're going to do left 50%, and then we're going to center them with minus 50%. So right content, after I believe header content, right content, dots like so. For the dots, I'm going to give them position of absolute, left 50% and bottom of 7%. Okay, so I want to leave the 7% of space from the bottom, and then I'm going to say transform. I'm going to translate the x-axis. So for the x, I'm going to do minus 50%, and then I'm going to say display flex. Okay, and then I'm going to also change the opacity to 0.8 maybe. Okay, you can always play around with the values, and then I'm going to style each individual dot. Okay, so the width, I'm going to so that width and height 20 pixels, and border radius 50% to make it rounded. Okay, like so. So width and height must be the same to make sure it's rounded. And then background, I'm going to set that to slate blue. So this is temporary, just to show you what we're doing. I'm gonna save. They should be here because something is wrong. Position absolute dots. So make sure we need to check the class names. Dots dot. Yeah, seems to be making sense. Let's save. Background slate blue. We should have our dots somewhere. Okay, let's see why. Okay, I see why. Let's inspect here. Body, root, header, dots. There they are. Something's wrong. Let's see what's going on. Dots. Okay, something going on with the class name. It looks dots. Right content, header. What's going on? Header content. I put the dots outside the header content. So cut these dots that are supposed to be outside the header content, like this. Okay, I believe that's where I put them. Okay, I've disabled indenting automatically. Okay, so yeah, now with our dots, they should be here. There they are. There's our dots. Okay, so I'm going to target the first dot. I'm going to say dot 1. The first one, I want to give it a margin right. I'm going to say 1 pixel, and then I'm going to target dot number 2 and dot number 3. Okay, like so. So I'm going to make it smaller than the first one. Transform scale. I'm going to make dot number 2 and 3 smaller than the first one. Okay, so now they're smaller than the first one, and then I'm just going to set a background color. It's actually 3 pixels here. Let's say 3 pixels. Okay, you can kind of mess around with the values to see where you're getting to. Okay, we're going to change the slate blue later on. So now it's we're just messing around the values. So dot, I'm going to say margin 0 top and bottom, left and right. We're going to give it 1 pixel, and then background color, we're going to hash ff, that's white, and then we're going to do cursor, we're going to set it to pointer, so it's a white, and then we reduce the opacity to 0.8, like that. Makes sense? Okay, So yeah, that's pretty much it for the header content. I mean, yeah, now we just need to focus on making the themes. So to do the themes, let's create a new file. You can create a new folder if you want. I'm going to say color themes.js, and then here I'm going to create an array of themes. Const color themes is going to be an array, not an object, an array of objects. Okay, color, an array of objects. Okay, so we're going to have multiple objects. Each object represents a different color theme. So we're going to have a property of name, and then it's going to be, this one is going to be the default. Is that spelling for default? I'm not sure about that. Okay, so now we've default. Okay, so now with the default, and then we are going to need a primary color. So these are the properties that we need. Primary, well, I'm just going to paste in these properties. I don't want to waste your time writing this one by one. Okay, and then you just need to set the color values for each property that you set. You can set different properties and different colors of whatever I'm setting here. Okay, so this is the first default color scheme. Okay, so default. I had a feeling that the spelling was wrong for some reason. Okay, so now we can, put a comma and create another object, but we need to keep these properties the same, but we need to change the values. Okay, so this one, I'm going to name this salmon. That's the color of that's the name of the color scheme. Okay, we need to change the values. Okay, but the properties must stay the same always. Okay, we just need to change the values to different colors, because for each different color theme that we change to, we're going to be using these same variable names. We're just going to change the values here. Okay, so make sure you change these values around to put whatever values that you want, or you can copy the ones I'm using right now. Okay, and then I'm going to do another object. It's going to be another color scheme. You can create infinite amount of these color themes. It's up to you how many you want to create. In this case, for demonstration purposes, I'm going to be creating only, I'm sorry about that, I need to put my phone on silent. For this demonstration purposes, I'm only going to be using 3 color schemes. Okay, I'm going to be exporting this export. We're going to export default color themes. Okay, so now we have our color themes. What are we going to do with these color themes? Okay, so now that's where we need to be able to use this color themes in a state. To put this in a state, we can change the state, modify the colors or whatever, use these colors coming from a state. So to do that, we need a global state. To do a global state which we can access anywhere without passing it as a prop. To do a normal state, you need to, let's say, for example, you do state, you always, most of the times, you always create it into a parent, and then you pass it as a prop. Let's say I create a state in here. I say const, maybe blah blah blah, a random state, and then I need to pass it as a prop here. I can say state, and then I'll pass in the state in here. If I want to pass into another component, another child, I have to pass it as a state in the header. It keeps going like that, keep passing it as a prop. But what if we want to create a global state which we can access the state anywhere we want without having to do props? Okay, so now let's do context. That's where we can do that. So let's create a new folder, context. It's going to be a folder. In here, you can, let's say, you can create multiple contexts for whatever kind of values that you want to store. Let's say whatever kind of state you want to store. Let's say you want to store some user state, you can create a user context. Or let's say you want to create a theme state, like something that is responsible for the themes, you can say, or maybe theme context, or whatever kind of state you want to create, or whatever values you want to create. So in this case, I'm going to say maybe colors or themes context, theme context .js, theme context.js. So make sure the spelling is correct. Okay, so now we have the theme context. What are we going to do in here? So first, I'm going to be creating a function, const. So you can name this function whatever you want. I'm going to be exporting this function because I want to use it elsewhere. So I'm going to say export theme const. This will be theme provider, that's the name, provider, and then I'm going to say equal to an arrow function. Okay, and then in here, so make sure this is the correct function, like so. Okay, so now we have a function. So here is where we can set our state or whatever values you want to access anywhere, or yeah, let's say state. So you can store your state in here. So now we're exporting this theme provider. We're going to access this theme provider anywhere that we want. So now we need to actually create some context. So we're going to create a context which is going to store our initial state values, which is going to provide us with our state values, our initial values, and then another context which is going to be updating that state. If we want to update the state, so we're going to be creating a context for updating and the context for getting the default state values that we have. Okay, so I'm going to say const. So the first time I'm going to be creating a theme context. Okay, so this is going to be a theme context. So to create we need to do React, and then we're going to say dot create context, like so. Okay, so now we've created a context for the theme, and then we now need to create another context for updating whatever, to update the theme or to update the state values. So say theme, and then theme context, theme context update, like so. Then we're going to say React to create context. So now we've created a context for the initial state values, for default one or initial whatever, and then another one for updating the state values. Okay, so we actually need to import import React, comma. We also need to import use. We need to import use context. Yep, like so, from React. Okay, so now we have use context. We're not using it at the moment. Okay, so now in the theme provider, we can create a state const. In here we're going to create a state, so I'm going to say select theme. I'm going to say set select theme. In here I'm going to say equal to use state, okay, so initially we're going to select the default theme, which is going to be 0. Okay, so as you remember, our theme is an array of objects. So in this case I'm going to select the first object, which is the main theme. So that's the default theme that we're going to be using. Okay, so this is our state, select theme, and say select theme. Okay, so now we need to import the color themes. Okay, I'm going to say color themes. Okay, color themes. So here I'm going to say const. I'm going to say theme, and then I'm going to equal to color themes. So here I'm going to do it's an array, if you remember. So I'm going to select the color theme. So I'm going to select whatever state value that we have. Let's say I update this to 1, so this will be 1. So that means I'll be selecting the second color palette, and then let's say this is 2. That means I'll be selecting the third palette. Okay, so whenever we update our state, let's say we update it to whatever value, is going to be this value here. Okay, so select whatever we put in our state is going to be here. We're going to select that theme. Okay, so by default it's going to be the 0, the first one. Okay, so in here we just return. So it's just an arrow function. We do a normal return in here. We return. So we do a theme. We do a theme context, which we created here. Theme context. So to use that, we need to use something called a provider. That's how it's done. So make sure you use the theme context, and then you do dot provider like this. Okay, and then we also want to use the theme update. Okay, so theme context update like so. Okay, and then yeah, everything looks good. But where are we going to be using the theme context? So to make sure we use our context to access the state everywhere globally, we need to surround all of our app with the theme provider. The theme provider. Okay, we need to surround our app with the theme provider like this. Let's say we have different kind of providers. Let's say we have user settings provider, whatever. We can say user provider like this, and then we're gonna keep nesting like this. We just need to make sure our app is surrounded with whatever context we've created. So no matter how many you have, you just need to nest like this. As long as your everything is surrounded with the context you've created, that's fine. So in this case, we've only created one, the theme provider. So we need to surround our app with the theme provider. Okay, so let's go back. So now we've surrounded our app. So in here, we can say in the theme provider, children, we need to get the children, which is the app, everything within the app. Okay, so we surrounded our app with the theme provider. So also don't forget to import the theme provider like this. Import theme provider from, it says Styled Components, but it's not from Styled Components. It's supposed to be dot context, and then it's going to be theme context like this. Okay, we import, and then now we surround our app with the theme context. Okay, so now we're getting the children, which is, we surrounded the children in the app, and then we need to pass the children here. So children in here. Okay, the app. Okay, so now how do we access, let's say, the state or the values from here wherever we want to access it? So let's say if I do COG and then I do theme, we'll be able to see the first theme. Let's inspect console. Something is wrong. I have no idea why we have so many warnings. Okay, we're going to see why there is these warnings. Okay, so now we have the default theme selected. Okay, so because we're console logging this theme, so it's targeting the first one because that's the default state. Okay, it's on set to 0, the first theme, which is the default. So let's say if I set it to a different one, let's say 1, it's going to be the second one, which is going to be the salmon. Okay, so we're just going to update the state, and then it's going to update the colors based on this state. So by default it's going to be 0. Okay, so here I can say, let's say to get the default state value, to access the default, let's say 0, and then I can just need to send in a value. I can say maybe hello world in here, hello world in here. Okay, so let's say I want to access this hello world in the app.js. So how do we do that? So there are many ways to do it. So in this case, let's create some functions which we can access outside of this context. I'm going to say const export, const export. So the first one, let's say use theme. That's the name of the function. You can name it whatever you want. Okay. Okay, so const export, export const. It's the other way around. Okay, export const, and then here we're just going to return. So here, so what are we going to return in here? We're just going to return the use context. Use context. So in here, what context are we going to use? So the context we're going to be using is going to be this theme context, the theme context, which is the initial state value, initial state values, or whatever values, the initial values. Okay, that's what we're getting. And then we're going to create another function which is responsible for updating the state. Okay, so use theme update. Okay, so which is this context for updating, theme context update. So now we have two contexts. So we have the initial values. Let's say we have some initial state values. Let's say, yeah, we already have 0. And then we want to get those values. And then when we update the values, we're going to use this theme update context. Okay, so now we can access these functions. We're exporting them. We can access them anywhere that we want. Okay, so how do we do that? Because we want to be able to access these functions anywhere that we want. Okay, so in this case, I'm not going to be sending the hello world. I want to send the initial state. So I'm going to say select theme. Okay, so to update, I'm also going to say value for the update. Let's say when I update something, I want to bring in some values. So I'm going to set. Okay, so when you update something with state, you need to do set, is the one that you use to update the default state value. Okay, so now we can update and we can get the initial state. Let's see how we can do that. Okay, actually I don't want to send the select theme. I want to send the actual theme. I want to send this theme here. Okay, and then here we're going to update. So this theme, we're going to get the initial theme, which is 0. Okay, when we update, we're going to get, let's say 1. It's going to update to 1. It goes on and on, on and on. Okay, something like that. So now we save. Let's go to app.js. So here we can say maybe we want to use our context. So we can say use theme. Okay, so you import use theme from, I don't know why it's doing style components. It's actually from context, and then theme context. Okay, use theme from theme context. We're importing the use theme, and then down here we can just say const theme equal to use theme, the function we've created. Okay, it's returning the value. Okay, it's returning. So we're just setting that into a variable. So now when I CLG this, I can just say, yay, it's working. It's working. And then I'm going to say theme. Okay, remember our function is returning the value. Let's refresh this. See why it's not working. Save, use theme. So make sure you save everything. All right. What is not a function? Let's see. Context directly is not supported and will be removed. Did you mean to render context or consumer instead? Where? Let's double check. Global. Theme context. Okay. So we're exporting. I'm just double check if I missed anything. Children. Oh, make sure it's the correct spelling. Children. So yeah, sometimes you mess up the spellings. Make sure you do .provider as well. Yeah, .provider. I forgot to do that. .provider. So if you don't do .provider, it doesn't work. So make sure every context you create, you do .provider as well. Okay, So now, as you can see, it says yay. Let me get rid of this one. Oops, no, not this one. Where am I console logging this? Okay, so now it says yeah, it's working. As you can see, now we have the default color. Okay, because we're getting the default state. So when I change this to 1, it's going to update to summon. Okay, so to update this state, we're going to be using the set select theme, which is going to update this value to numbers to the index of whatever color theme that we have. Okay, so we have the initial state, which is we're passing that into the theme. So here we're getting the initial value, which is 0, the theme, which is going to be the context provider. And then to update this value, let's say from 0 to 1, we're going to do this the theme context update using the set select theme to update to a different value. Okay, we have two functions here. The first one is responsible for getting the initial values. The second one is for updating those values. Okay, so yeah, everything seems to be working fine. So now we can, get the theme, use the theme, or we can update anytime that we want to. Okay, so I'm going to show you how we can update later on. So now let's keep going. Let's go to the header. Actually, now let's do the buttons. So now we need to import the theme. So here, remember, you use theme. Wherever we want to access the state value, we need to import the context, use theme. Okay, so here I'm going to say const theme. Here we're going to be using the theme context. Okay, so now we have access to the theme, which is the colors and the these properties. We have access to these properties, these variables here. You can create as many as you want. So we have access to those variables. Okay, so how do we access those variables in the styles? Because we want to be able to use those colors here, down here, change these to those variables. So how do we have access into those styles? So what we can do here, we can set it as a prop. You can say theme, and then you can say theme. Okay, so now you set it as a prop. So the theme, now we're going to have access to this prop in here. So you're just creating a new prop called theme. You can name this prop whatever you want, but whatever you pass in here, it has to be this theme. Okay, so now let's start. What are we going to start with? So we need to start changing the variables. Okay, so let's start with the header. For the color, I'm going to start with the color. So the color, to access the props, I can do like this. Say props, we're accessing the props, right? And then it's a function, so remember, it's a function. Arrow function, you can do it in a single line. And then we're going to say props, I'm going to say dot theme, and then we're going to access the secondary variable. Okay, so that's the color, and then you're just going to save. Okay, so I don't know if you can see the change, but as you can see, it's white now. It's different from what it was. Okay, so now we have the color. Let's go for the overlay. For the overlay, I'm sorry about the background noise. So there's seagulls where I live. Too much, a lot of seagulls. So here, so next time I'll be copying and pasting. So I'm just going to show you how you can do this. Props, an arrow function, and then I'm just going to do props dot theme dot background, because now we're only accessing the the props coming from the theme, which we've passed as a prop to access the values coming from the props. Okay, so now the background changed the color. So far so good. So I'm going to copy this because we're going to be reusing this in a lot of areas. Okay, so in H1 I'm going to do color. I'm going to paste, and then I'm going to change the value to title. Okay, so now we change the value. Now we need to also do the image. So I want to do a filter. So here I want to do a shadow, drop shadow. I'm going to do 1 pixel, 1 pixel, 2 pixels, 2 pixels, 10 pixels. So 1 pixel in the X, 2 pixels on the Y, 10 pixels for the blur. And then I want to put a color, which is the props. So the color is going to be different. For this one, I'm going to do primary, props, theme, primary, that's the color. Okay, so the image is going to have a filter like this. Okay, you can change the colors to mess around to, you know, to find colors that you want. It's up to you. So that's for the filter. Okay, that's it for the main colors that we're going to be using, changing the variables. So to show you if this is working, we just go to the context, and then we can change this from 0 to 1, and then the colors will change accordingly. Okay, so now we just need to sort out these buttons, and we need to sort out the color, the buttons up here. Okay, so yeah, let's go for the CTA buttons header. CTA, where the heck is header? CTA buttons header content, right? Oh, it's left. CTA buttons. Okay, so here I'm going to say end, not, I'm not going to target the first child. Okay, and not first child. I'm not going to target the I don't want to affect the first element, so that's why I'm using end, not the first child. Okay, margin left, I'm going to set that to 1.4 rem. Okay, and then I'm going to say border, I'm going to set that to 1 pixel, and then solid, and then I'm going to set the props. Okay, for the props, for the border is going to be using the primary. Okay, and then this is not the first child, which is the last item, but in this case I want to select the first child. I'm going to use the pseudo first child to select the first element. I want it to have a different background color. I want to say background color. I'm going to set that as a prop, and I'm going to change the value of this to primary. Okay, so now let's save. So now with the buttons, there they are, they look really nice. Now it's only a matter of let me put it back to default to 0, the first one. Now it's only a matter of cycling through the index with a click button. To do that, I'm going to generate some buttons. Okay, so let's go back to the header. I'm going to create another list item, nav. I'm going to do another li. In here, I'm going to map through the themes. Okay, theme. What did I name these themes? Actually, theme. Actually, we need to import the color themes. Okay, now with the color themes, we're going to map through each and every color theme, and we're going to create a button for it. Okay, so color themes, we're going to map, we're going to get each individual color theme, color, I'm just going to name it color anyway, and then we're going to get the index, I for the index. Okay, so in here we're going to return a button, and then we're going to give it a key. The key is going to be the index. Okay, the index. What else? We can close this button. Okay, yeah, when we click this button, we need to actually update the state. Okay, so how do we do that? So I'm going to create another prop. I'm going to say on click, another prop in here. So I'm going to create a function, one a callback function in here. Okay, so we're going to say set theme. We're going to change the state. So to change the state, remember the function we created, it's called use theme update. So you need to import the use theme update function, which is responsible for updating our state. Okay, it's only the set of the state, and it's going to set the state to a different value, whatever value we put to it. So in this case, theme, we're going to use theme update. I'm going to say const set theme. We're going to set theme. We're going to say use theme update. Okay, so now we have set theme. We can pass anything inside the set theme. We can pass anything in here. Let's say we want to update the state. In this case, we want to update the state based on the index. Okay, let's say we have 10 elements, it's going to update accordingly. Okay, so when whatever button, so we're mapping through these color schemes, right? So when we click on whatever button, we're going to get the index of that button we click on based on this map array we're mapping. Let's say I click on index number 5, it's going to change and set the theme to number 5. Let's say we have whatever 5 elements, it's going to change our state here to set it to 5. Okay, because we're using this set select theme inside this function here, the theme update. Okay, so there it is. So we say value, the value for the theme context update, which is this function, it's going to be the set for our state, changing this state value. So what we're basically saying is whatever index of the item that we click on, we're just going to set that to our state. Okay, so now that's for the on click. Whenever we click, we're just going to set the index of whatever element we click on, and then the style. I'm just going to do background color, background color. So for the background color, it's just going to be theme dot background, like that. So that's background color of the button. Now it's only a matter of styling this button here. Okay, so this button is within the nav items. So when I go back to the nav items, as you can see, we have button. So now we just need to style that button. Outline, I'm going to set that to none. Border, I'm going to set that to none. Okay, so now with border none, I'm just going to give it a height and a width of 30 pixels, same height. I want them to be rounded. I'm going to say border radius, I'm going to set that to 50%, so to make it really rounded like that. And then border, I'm going to say cursor to pointer. Okay, so I've set the cursor to pointer. Okay, so now let's see. So now we have these buttons, but there's something weird going on with the background of the buttons. They're not correct. Okay, so we're going to fix that in a bit. So now let's keep going. Here we actually need to get rid of the default background. I guess it's none. Okay, after that we need to do a margin and not. We're going to do last and not last child. Okay, so I don't want the last item to have this margin right. I'm going to do 0.8 rem. Okay, I don't want the last item to have that margin, so I want them to be a bit spaced out, but something's going on with these colors. Let's see what's going on. Okay, so theme background, so we just need to make sure the spelling is correct. Background color. Okay, so I don't know why it's oh, it's supposed to be color, because we're mapping through each individual theme, and I've named each individual theme color. Okay, so it's supposed to be color dot background. Okay, or you can say this is a theme. Actually, it makes more sense to name it theme, because it's the thing we're mapping through themes, so objects. So each object, so I'm selling whatever object we click on the index of it, we're getting the background of it. So now we have different colors. So now we can select, toggle between the colors. Okay, so yeah, I mean, yeah, that's it for the project. If you have any questions, don't forget to ask me through the comment section. If you have any requests, you can also put a comment down below. Also, if you're new to this channel, don't forget to comment, like, subscribe. Yeah, if you have any questions, just ask through the comment. Yeah, I'll see you on the next video. That's it for this video. Everything works fine.